Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning into Leadership Matters with the People's Doctors, informing leaders, inspiring solutions. I am your co-host lead today, Dr. Dre, and I'm delighted to have with me my other co-hosts, Dr. Sheryl White and Dr. Loretta Howard. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This month we are exploring a powerful topic for leaders around ethics and leadership, and really what that all means. I mean, people define ethics in many different ways, but I think we're going to try to do a little dissecting of that today and really look at ethics and integrity as part of that process. And so, what does it really mean to lead with integrity? Not just when it's convenient, but when it really costs you something. Does it have to cost you something? And if it does cost you something, can we waver on being ethical? And who defines what ethical is for leaders? All questions we like to try to explore on this afternoon session. So we're glad that you are joining us. And again, glad that you are sending in your questions. We're going to get to your audience questions in just a moment. But before we do that, I've got an exciting announcement to make. I think Dr. Sheryl, Dr. Loretta, I think we're all excited about this opportunity that's going to be coming upon us pretty soon here.
Yes, we
And
are.
yep, and I am excited. I'm going to share a little bit here. If people can see that, if it pops up, let me see here. Sometimes technology works, sometimes it doesn't. All right, see what. And it is a wonderful opportunity we have for folks to engage us at a different level, on a different level, and to really think about um, you know, conflict. And so that's what the topic is. And so I'm trying to pop up our screen one more time here. And then if it works for us, it does. If it doesn't, we'll keep moving on. So, but it's strategies for dealing with conflict, June 26th. You don't want to miss this. It's an hour and a half of
You are
engagement.
not in presentation mode, just hit presentation mode.
Yep, if I hit presentation mode, it doesn't pop up for me for some reason. So,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So, yeah. So we'll have to mess with that again some kind of way. But let me just pop it back up in terms of the general information so people can kind of grab that and see. There's a registration code down there where you can register, so you can copy and paste that. Our seats are going fast, and so we'd love to have you join us on the 26th of June. Strategies for dealing with conflict. I think leaders, Dr. Cheryl, Dr. Loretta, I think leaders are always dealing with conflict. I know a lot of folks like to avoid conflict, some like to engage it. I think about the animals when I think about conflict, the shark and the turtle and the fox and all those other kinds of things. But I think this will be a great time for engagement and real discussion with other leaders across the country. Any thoughts about that?
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely. As long as leaders have to deal with people, there will be conflict.
That's
Right.
right.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're excited about this, and so there's information. We'll pop it up one time before the show ends, so you get a good grasp of that, and to get the information so that you can certainly register and share with friends and colleagues across your networks and within the organization as well. So again, thanks for being part of our show. We really rely on you to spread the great word about this particular show. If you think it's good, we want you to spread the word and share it with others, the link and how to get signed up so that they can be part of our weekly shows as part of that process. We do encores, we do new, fresh shows with wonderful leaders beside ourselves. So there's a lot of good stuff taking place with Leadership Matters with the People's Doctors, and we want you to be part of that as well. So let's get to our discussion question, our first audience question. So keep sending those in. And the first audience question is, what does it actually feel like in the moment when you're about to make a decision that doesn't sit right with you? And how do you trust that feeling? Wow, what a powerful question from this audience member. What does it actually feel like in the moment when you're about to make a decision that doesn't sit right with you? And how do you trust that feeling? Uh, Dr. Cheryl, any insights in terms of that?
Mm. I think that's a deep question. I have to really
Yeah.
reflect on that. I think in those moments, I probably um, feel it in my gut, maybe, like literally in my stomach.
Mhm.
I feel a little tension, and I think my trust of that feeling creates a pause
Mhm.
that kind of says I need to not move forward, but to reflect and maybe delay responding until I can resolve that internally for myself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Cheryl. Dr. Retta?
I agree with Dr. Cheryl. It's definitely physical for me, but it's
Mhm.
like I get goosebumps on my arms. It's
Mm.
Mhm.
just that makes me feel like something's just not right. And whatever it is, the doubt that I have or whatever, that keeps going over and over in my mind. But I literally get goosebumps. And there have been times when I ignored that
Mhm.
and I paid for it later because I should have listened to the goosebumps on my
Mhm.
arm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I agree with both of you doctors. I think I think for me it's more of probably a physiological experience that I go through versus more of an intellectual one. And it's that, like you said, that tightening, the body registers, before the mind can truly articulate what's really taking place. It's kind of like the check engine light to some degree, if I could use that
Hmm.
metaphors, check the engine light in terms of that. So, but I think we have to stop treating that discomfort as, indecisiveness or it's a weakness I have. And really, it's a feeling as a discernment. It's an accumulation of everything we
Hmm.
know, all of our lived experiences that really are trying to play with us and make us understand that to be true to ourselves, our values, our purpose, and it's talking to you. So I think we have to learn how to build that trust muscle when it comes to some of that as well. So. But wow, what a powerful question! Wow, that's a way to start the discussion around ethics and integrity
Mhm.
with leaders. Wow, so great. Let's jump into it then. There's a number of things we want to explore. I think the first question I'll pose is how do you personally define integrity? And has that definition changed the longer you've been in leadership? What does that look like? What does that sound like? I'll go to you first, Dr. Retta, and then I'll Dr. Cheryl to join in on that question as well.
Wow. Okay. Well, for me, it really is just doing the right thing, even if nobody else wants to do the right thing. As you both know, I do like rules. I like
Really?
standards.
Really? Really? Okay.
And if we have them, as long as they're not immoral, their
Mhm.
rules are set there for a purpose. But I will follow those rules as long as they're there. So for me, it's doing that or reminding people that we need to do it and the reason why we have those types of things in place, even when it's not popular. Because once again, when it's not popular and I want to follow the rules, I'll get the goosebumps.
Mhm.
And my body knows before my mind will react. So,
Mhm.
but for me, it's doing that no matter what. Sometimes you have to just stand on what's right to do, even when others disagree. And those are things that you have to decide. Is that more important to you to stand on those values?
Mm.
And that's really important to me to stand on values and what I believe in.
Okay, great. Dr. Cheryl, how about you?
I certainly agree with integrity, as Dr. Loretta indicated with regards to doing the right things, and I'd say doing the right thing for the right reason. And I've always kind of thought of integrity as being honest with ourselves and honest with others. So it's that am I congruent with what I feel, what I'm saying, and what I'm doing, and um, and honest when I say with myself and others.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I can add anything to what you ladies have said. I think, for me, I think, early on, I think I simply defined integrity kind of as simply doing what you say you're going to do, keeping your word. And although that's true, I've also come to understand that this integrity piece certainly runs deeper than just being consistent. And, true integrity is almost like this alignment piece between who you say you are and what you actually believe and how you make decisions in the dark when no one's looking, when no one's listening, when no one is watching you, how you treat people and who can't do anything for you. I think that all has played into that definition for me as well. So I think it certainly has changed. I think it comes with age, maybe some maturity as part of that process. But I think it's certainly thinking about the things you do behind the closed doors.
Mhm.
Integrity doesn't stop there.
Mhm.
It still
Yeah.
exists. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's another thread that maybe both you and Dr. Loretta are pulling with regards to the standing on principles. And over time, I think it has gotten harder because things become more complex as leaders. So what you both also say alluded to was courage,
Hmm.
because very often um, it may require being courageous.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I like that, Dr. Cheryl, when you said the courage, because when Dr. Dre had that topic about the rogue leader, and
Mm.
after we kept
Mhm.
talking about it, we
Yeah,
realized the rogue leader had courage. So
yeah.
yeah, it takes courage to have integrity too. I
Hmm.
like that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Definitely. Great. Thank you. Dr.
Hmm.
Cheryl, how about you? Next question.
Yes. So, I maybe my thought would be to ask each of you to think about, was there a moment early in your career that shaped how you really began to think about ethical leadership, and that pulls forward with to how you think about ethical leadership today?
I think for me, it was just some of the early mentors and coaches in my life, right? People who I truly respected and come to understand to be true to who they were, what they said, what they did. And I think some of those early mentors and coaches certainly helped shape some of that for me in terms of the payoff that integrity, being, ethical with integrity, the payoff for it was just, came with respect, came with, folks wanting to engage you even more, listen to you even more. Maybe they didn't agree with you all the time, but, ethics with integrity just allowed me, as I learned from those early mentors and coaches, what truly it meant to just stand and tell the truth and to be true to your word, to be true to yourself as well as to others. So I think that really helped shape some of that formation for me. So yeah.
Yeah. I think I took another twist on the question, but there was someone I had who was a leader in an organization. She was a manager, and we had to upsell for people. They call in for one thing and you had to upsell. At that moment, I knew I was not a salesperson.
Hmm.
And I got out because I couldn't do it. But I didn't really like doing it because sometimes you would talk to customers and they may have been struggling or going through something, but I'm still trying to put you in this higher package that
Hmm.
you really cannot afford. And
Mhm.
that would just, again, rub me the wrong way. I tried doing it and I thought, if I ever get into leadership, I'm going to have to figure out something different, or this is not a career choice for me. So I really got to do something different because if it bothers me every day that I am trying to make people purchase a package that they really can't afford, if
Hmm.
that's really bothering me, I should not be doing this type of a job. And
Hmm.
eventually I did leave. But young hot shot out of school thinking, no, I can do anything. Could not do sales and never try sales
Mhm.
again. No,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
that's not a reflection. There are good salespeople.
Oh,
There are
absolutely.
good salespeople.
Yeah.
That
Mhm.
was just a situation where you were always trying
Hmm.
to upsell them into something else. Yeah.
So you're saying salespeople are sleazy and
No,
ethical?
did I not
I
just
just
say
want to make
there are
sure I'm
good
clear on that because, I know a lot
salespeople?
of good sales
There
folks, and they're
are
always
good
trying to upsell.
salespeople.
So they're, I don't know.
Yeah, there are. Well, it was almost like a bait and switch kind of thing, and that
Okay.
just did not sit well with me. I couldn't do
Okay.
it because,
Mhm.
I wouldn't want someone doing it to me or someone I cared about when I know they could not afford it. So
Mm.
there are people who are very good
Sure.
salespeople who don't do it, but at that moment, I know I could not be in sales.
Okay. All right. Great.
I would have starved.
Mhm.
All right. All right. Great. Great. Look, we're about a break here. We're going to take a short break. We're just getting started with this conversation around ethics and integrity. But when we return, we're going to go a little deeper in terms of ethic being ethical under pressure. I mean, that changes the equation just a bit. I'm not sure if we can maybe redefine ethics when we're under pressure, perhaps a little bit more, maybe give it a little more leeway in terms of what we can do and what we can't do. But what does that look like under pressure? So when we return, we'll talk a little bit more about that. So please stay tuned. We'll be back with more on Leadership Matters with the People's Doctors, informing leaders, inspiring solutions. And we are back with more on Leadership Matters with the People's Doctors. For those who are just joining us, I am with Dr. Loretta, Dr. Sheryl, as we talk about a very powerful topic, ethics and integrity for leaders in today's times. Is it even possible? Do those words even go together? And I know as last we led off and kind of ended with trying to define what integrity and ethics was all about, and wanted to get more into, well, what does ethics and integrity look like under pressure? Does it change? So, with that being said, I know we have our second audience question, and I certainly want to address that too because they've been wonderful questions, and we want folks to continue to send them in. Um, you know, um, Lots of great insight. You really, I think you educate me when you send these questions in as well. So they've been very powerful. So let me start with the second audience question, and then we'll pass it over to Dr. Retta to get us into this discussion around pressure. But the second question from our audience member is, what's the difference between an organization that talks about its values and one that actually lives them? and how do you close that gap? What's the difference between an organization that talks about its values and one that actually lives them, and how do you close that gap? Dr. Reddy, you want to take a swing at that one?
Wow, yeah, okay. Thank you.
No
Thank
problem.
you for going
Hey,
right to me with that one.
yep,
Okay.
yep.
But I believe that, companies can have all types of wonderful slogans and posters that we believe in this and we do that. But then you have to see what it's like with the employees. Do they look like they're really engaged, that they really enjoy where they're working, they love what they do? Are they trying, okay, I get off at 5, it is 4:56. I got 4 more minutes to be here, but I already packed my bag at 4:45 trying to run, not because I had an appointment, but because I'm trying to get out of here. So I think that the core values, they really need to be lived within the organization, and people shouldn't just bring them up at performance review time
Mm,
because they will bring them up at performance review time. But what are you doing the rest of the year? So it has to be more than just a logo and a sign. You really have to live what you're saying. And you can tell by the employees and the feedback that they'll give you, and even customers, because customers can tell if you say you value them and then you treat them awful, that's not good. And now we have social media where people will put everything out there too. So you really have to live what you're saying you're doing.
Dr. Cheryl, what about you?
Yeah, I think organizations who live their values, then those values become norms and they show up in the culture.
Mm,
And so I think that is the difference. I think organizations who have values and they're posted and they might mention them from time to time, but they're not living them. There's a gap between what's posted and what is experienced in the culture, and what even may be experienced in one's brand promise, because we'd hope that the values align with the brand culture, or I should say the brand that organization may want. And there's congruence sees that you see that you don't see when those values are not actually practiced.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. And I would just add to what your doctors have said is the gap between, I think, again, stated values and live values is where integrity will either live and thrive or crumble and die. So an organization that certainly, talks about its values, posts them on the wall, an organization that lives them holds people accountable with and when no one is watching. And so that starts at the top. And so really thinking about leadership,
Mhm.
behavior is and should be the policy. And if I say I value transparency, but I'm evasive when hard conversations come, my team really doesn't believe me nor that poster that's put up on the wall. They believe what they observe. They believe what they see. And so closing the gap certainly requires kind of this consistency, persistent humility to invite people to call you out when you fall short. Wow, call you out when you fall short around ethics and integrity. That's powerful, being called out. So, and again, I think about the nerve and the muscle to be able to call your own leaders out when they don't have and don't show ethical behaviors and work and operate under integrity. That's a powerful place to be. So great, great audience questions. So I appreciate that. Keep sending those questions in. We'll give you the website link to kind of send those questions to us, but we want you to continue to send those in because those are very powerful questions. And again, not only educates our audience, but also us as well. So Dr. Riddle, let me turn this over to you so we can further our discussion.
All right, great. Well, the question I have for that integrity under pressure is to tell us about a time you were pressured to compromise your values and how did you navigate that moment? So, Dr. Cheryl, I'm going to start with you. Have you ever had to compromise your values and how did you navigate that moment?
Well, I probably one that comes to mind was a situation when I was working in a consultancy that provided billable hours. And I worked with the same firm in Louisiana that I moved to their Omaha branch. And the Louisiana branch, there was an expectation that we were to bill 6.5 hours a day for billable hours. In the Omaha branch, it was an expectation that we billed 8 hours a day. Well, there were a number of tasks that were not billable tasks. So, like if you were reviewing a report, that's not a billable task. If you were maybe um, preparing to, I don't know, make a phone call, there were a number of things that legitimately didn't really feel like they were billable. But our branch manager, if you would ask her, well, how do you justify, unless you're going to work a 10-hour day, how are you going to bill 8 hours continuously every day in order to meet this branch expectation? And her response was, well, on your way to work, I'm sure you were thinking about a case and, a client. And because you were processing and thinking about it, that's billable time. And when you do this, but she had a number of different ways where um, I guess if you stretched it, you legitimately might be able to see how you could live in that space. But for me, it didn't work. And so how I navigated it was often working longer hours, which was not sustainable. So eventually I left the organization because the expectations what that the organization had and then how we were to reach that, it wouldn't feel right for me. So I had to do non-billable hour things at some point, and typically that meant working extended hours. And again, I had a young child. Actually, I had two young children at the time, and it was just not sustainable. Mhm.
Wow, man, you were feeling that in your gut, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Dr.
Mhm.
Dre.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's been a number of times. I'm thinking back early in my career when, I had a supervisor that says, well, you're supposed to check off certain things you do when you come into the workplace in terms of inventory of merchandise and materials. And I said, you really don't have to do that. Just kind of check it off. You can just take a quick glance at things. You know what's there, what's not there. That saves you at least 15, 20 minutes. You can have an extra coffee break or whatever, smoke break, whatever you do. So, don't need to worry about that. And so, this is the person I was reporting to, and I wanted to do everything right because if something did come up missing, they'd be pointing the finger at me. And what would I say if that were to happen? Well, my boss said, okay, I don't know. I think, in terms of how I learned to handle it from that day forward as I matured, I think, with grace and without hesitation anymore. I learned that, you can be direct without having to be disrespectful, and that clarity in that moment actually protects the relationship long term. Again, maybe it takes a bit of muscle to push against your own boss or leader, but in the long term, in the long run, I could go home and I could sleep at night knowing that I didn't
Mhm.
cut, corners, and I was
Mhm.
being truthful, honest, ethical in my practices. And so, even if there was some short-term tension as part of that process. So my approach has always been, continues to be, as I've grown and matured around ethics as a leader and operating in the integrities world. My approach is to name what I observe, state my position, offer an alternative path forward if there's one that exists. I don't take it personal. I don't make it personal, but I also don't leave any ambiguity about where I stand. And so I think that has helped me, and kind of sticking to that rule model has helped me think about that. And really, as I am pressured by leaders and supervisors, colleagues, others, to do something that doesn't feel right in my gut, I've learned how to be able to respond in a direct and an exact way as well. So,
Great.
yeah,
Good. Those are great examples.
yeah.
The one that comes to mind for me, and here I go again with rules and policies, but and this one focused around attendance issues. The person was always late. It would be 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but very personable. But when they came to work, they did a good job,
Mm.
but they were always late. And, on a regular basis, it became a pattern of behavior, or they would have to leave early. And it was frustrating to other people because they thought nothing was being done. And then when, speaking to the managers, like, well, when that person is here, they do such a great job and everybody likes them. And I like that person too. But we have rules for a reason with the attendance. And if you let one person do it, then everyone else is going to start being like,
Right,
well, maybe I can do that too.
right.
So it was a discussion to have with management that this was just an issue. I was in an HR role at that time, but we had rules for a reason. We had an attendance policy.
Mhm,
We needed to
mhm,
follow that because otherwise, we were either going to lose good people because they thought we had favoritism
mhm.
towards someone, or we just needed to let that person know. So we had corrective action plans, the whole deal. We went through the process and they did straighten up and
Yeah,
started coming to work on time because they realized that there were accountability issues and you were
mhm,
not just going to be able, just because you're nice and you bring in donuts doesn't mean that,
yeah.
you know, we're going to
Right,
keep you, we gonna eat the donuts, but you still late and gonna get written up. So,
right, right, right,
so
right.
but it was just one of those things. It's like we can't do it because other people are looking at it and their perception is
Yeah,
that that's favoritism, even when maybe you didn't mean it to be. So
yeah,
that was, yeah, it was
yeah.
a conversation that needed to be had, but we
Mhm,
needed to follow that.
yeah. But that's hard when they bring in your favorite donuts, like crawlers or chocolate covered cream donuts or whatever it is. That's kind of hard to
Mhm.
chastise and to, push against your number one member on your team. So I don't know.
No, you get that cup of coffee, tea, whatever, and eat the donut right in their face while you're having that conversation. It's
Okay.
like, oh, and these are wonderful, by the way.
Okay. Okay. Great. I love it. I love it. All right. All right. All right. We're up against another break here. We're going to take another short break, but when we return, we're going to go deeper in terms of, well, what do you do when you're called out by perhaps a colleague? If you've ever been called out by a colleague of being unethical or practicing less integrity when you're supposed to. So that's coming up after the break, but please stay tuned. And we'll be right back with more on Leadership Matters with the People's Doctors, informing leaders, inspiring solutions. And we are back with more on Leadership Matters. For those who are just joining us, I am Dr. Dre, your lead co-host, along with my co-host, Dr. Cheryl and Dr. Loretta. We're talking about a very timely topic around ethics and integrity and leadership, and really thinking about how we hone in on becoming more ethical, how we become more aware about being ethical and really operate in an environment where integrity is key and critical. And so we're going to dip into a little bit around, and we're going to have a honest discussion. What do you do when they call you out in terms of thinking that you're not the most ethical leader that I've worked with or have co-created with? And so, what happens when that takes place? It kind of feels awkward. So, but I want to remind our listeners we have a wonderful webinar learning engagement coming up in June 26th, and I'm not sure if we can pop that back on the screen to show folks where they can register, but it's dealing with conflict, and leaders are always dealing with conflict. And, my perspective, probably different than Dr. Cheryl, Dr. Loretta, is conflict is a natural part of the conversation. If there's no conflict, there's no relationship. And so, how do you deal with that when there is conflict on the team? And so, you've got the website there where you can go and register. We'd love to have you join us. Our seats are going fast, and we're going to have some great discussion, engagement, some small breakout groups, some small exercises, some learning opportunities. But I think you'll come out even more empowered and stronger as a leader in terms of some strategies that we like to share with you in terms of how you deal with conflict. So register today. All right. Now, did I sound unethical pushing that? I really want people to, you know, be on board for this discussion. It's going to be a great one, June 26th. So I'm excited about it. So great. All right, Dr. Cheryl, let me pass the one over to you to talk a little bit about when you're being called out.
Okay. Well, I'm going to maybe step back and say, how do you create an environment where the team feels actually safe to raise ethical concerns without fear?
Mm.
And Dr. Dre, you want to start?
Um, I think I think it's communication again, right? You try to communicate over and over and over again that, it is okay to call it out, and you give permission to do that. And so I think for me, even when I meet with my team, for example, we always have the topic about, being honest with each other. Again, I always reiterate that, be honest without fear. That if you see something, say something. If something doesn't feel right, doesn't sound right, then call that person to task and say, hey, just wanted to kind of touch base with you. Now, how you do it is a whole different way to approach it, right? Maybe I may not publicly call you out in front of the rest of the team, but I'm going to certainly have a discussion with you one-on-one, perhaps on the side, to say, hey, just wanted to bring up something that I didn't really feel comfortable about in terms of what you had asked me to do. And I think, continuously reiterating, communicating that to your team that it's okay to do it. There's a certain way to do it that still promotes respect and a sense of humility. I think that's what it comes down to. And then I think the other piece again is to think about it as again a gift in terms of building you as a leader, building your team to be the strongest and the best when you are able to call it out without having to fear what the cost might be to do that. So.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Loretta. Thanks, Dr. Dre.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Dr. Dre about being honest with people. If you say you're going to do something, that they know you really are when they come to you about a particular situation, and building trust within a team of people so they know that they can really trust me if I say I'm going to do something. But sometimes people are fearful about speaking to you in person. So, have multiple ways that they can get the information to you. A suggestion box, I know it's old school, but type it up, because I tend to look at people's handwriting, so I might know who it came from. But just knowing that they have an outlet, some way to get that point across. And then too, because just making sure that what's being brought to me, that that's actually an issue. I want to observe it for myself. I'm not just going to say, oh, well, we're going to implement this because so and so said. I want to know what's really going on. So if that means sometimes I got to roll up my sleeves, I got to go in, staff, see what's going on, just be observant with things as well. And then when we have actual team meetings, yeah, I'll bring up certain things. It's like because I observed it myself. I'm not saying that, we're doing something because I got secondhand information. I really do want to see it myself when I can and keep that other person out of it, even though they may have brought it to my attention somehow. But I'm not going to throw them under the bus with so and so said, blah, blah, blah. I want to see it for myself because when I come in, as the owner of the business and I'm saying something, it's because I observed it myself. It's not what somebody told me, it's what I actually know. And this is why, you all have created such an environment where new policies get created, when new things come up, things that I never thought of before.
Hmm.
So now we have a policy to address it. So, yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Right.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I can sign on to what each of you said, and I love the word trust in this context because I think the
Hmm.
higher the trust, the more open the communication. And trust within the context of a relationship is, do you have my best interest at heart? Can I share this with you and it not necessarily come back to bite me? So environments that have that high psychological safety is going to certainly make a difference as to whether or not someone's comfortable bringing those things up. And then, Dr. Loretta, as you said, if that safety is not there, then having some means to perhaps provide that information anonymously and being mindful that you can't really act on an anonymous message. And for even the person who's wanting to send that message, if you send it anonymously, know that your organization most likely will not be able to act immediately on it, but it does give them an opportunity to step back and say, let me take a look and see if there's something happening here that we need to be more aware of. So if I'm not willing to own it, might be a little bit longer
Hmm.
time
Hmm.
Yeah.
before it could be
Absolutely.
addressed. So, thank you both for your
Yeah.
uh, thoughts on that question.
Right. But we're not. I mean, I got to be honest. I'm not really. I am not willing to own it. Maybe there was a little bit of weighing and wearing around being ethical and certainly thinking about integrity. But if someone calls me out, I don't know if I'm going to own it. I'm just being honest. I mean, I consider myself to be a decent leader. I mean, we all make mistakes
Mhm,
sometimes. I
mhm,
don't know if I'm
mhm,
willing to open up and be transparent like that. That
mhm.
doesn't build me up, but that doesn't make me be seen as a leader that people can trust if I
Right. Well,
admit
and my
that.
own it was really about if a person has a concern that they're
Mhm.
raising,
Yeah.
if you're not, um, if they don't feel like they can be courageous enough in that moment to share it and they own that this is a concern that I have,
Hmm.
and they're putting it in some type of anonymous suggestion box or what have you, or hotline, as Dr. Loretta said, it's not a good practice for a leader to act on something that came through one of those anonymous surfaces, or I call them a phantom.
Hmm.
You
Yes.
know, there's no ownership of it. So in that case, know that your leadership team is, or whoever that person is going to have to look into it themselves, make sure that there's some validity to it,
Hmm.
and so if I'm raising something anonymously, then you may share it anonymously, but I then have to figure out, is there enough validity? Can I find enough evidence in this anonymous complaint to really act on it? That was kind of like what my ownership um,
Okay.
comment was about.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I truly go along with what Dr. Cheryl said, but there's something else too. If you have created that environment of trust,
Mhm.
transparency within your organization, people should not be fearful to come and talk to you. You
Mhm.
wouldn't necessarily have to have them come through anonymously. So even
Mhm.
though, yes, we may have those things in place but you want to create that environment where they know they can still come to you and talk to you without fear of any kind of retaliation.
Mhm.
And, they can have that conversation and know that, well, now that I've turned it over to you, Dr. Dre or Dr. Cheryl, I
Mhm.
trust you enough. I've been around
Mhm.
you enough. I know you're going to take care of it. And
Mhm.
that you're going to know the people you
Mhm.
work with. You
Yeah.
know those who you can be
Mhm.
like, oh, okay, well, let me look
Mhm.
into it. Or you might have to question them a little bit more. You're not upset with
Mhm.
somebody, are you? Those kinds of things. But that's the
Mhm.
environment. You
Hmm.
want them to feel so comfortable that, yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna tell Dr. Cheryl what's going on, and
Yeah.
I know she'll take care of it.
Well, and I think here's the space with that, and the place I think that we might sometimes find ourselves in realistically is that each of us only have a certain level of authority. So
Hmm.
someone can
Right.
bring an issue or concern to me, and my level of authority may only be that I can make sure that the ears that need to hear it, and
Mhm.
perhaps the ears who have the authority to do something about it can hear it, and yet that person with the authority is the one that may really need to make a decision. So there can be things that are brought to us within an organization. And what I can do as relates to integrity would be to certainly confirm hearing it, make sure that the person who needs to hear it hears it. I even
Mhm.
provide a recommendation, but I may not necessarily have the authority to change what's going on. So,
Absolutely. That's
mhm.
true.
Yeah. hmm
Right.
Which actually that can create a lot of frustration for I think people who
Absolutely.
work in helping professions. I say helping professions. For
Mhm.
they may be in employee relations. They may
Hmm.
be in organization development. They may be in um, those spaces where someone goes to find a voice for advocacy, and the person who is, you know, hearing the concern may or may not necessarily have the authority. And so they may feel like, what do I do? And how do do I jump over all these other layers of authority to try to make something happen? And so it becomes, I think one of our questions was, over a period of time, what have you learned? I think one of the things I've learned over a period of time, one of the things I had to learn very early on in my career, and I've practiced is do thy duty to thy best, leave it to the Lord the rest.
Hmm.
Which means,
Right.
I have to be truthful and honest with myself, be it when I was as a workers' compensation, I was working in rehabilitation, and I'm kind of like in between workers' comp and the employee.
Hmm.
I have to hear the employee's concern. I can empathize with the employee's concern. Workers' comp is always trying to save dollars, although there are also a lot of adjusters who want to do the right thing. So what do I say and do? I say and do what I think is right, and the chips fall where they fall.
Hmm.
Same thing happens within organizations. So it goes back to what you said, Dr. Drake, got to be able to sleep at night.
Yeah.
And the
Absolutely.
sleeping at night means I'm honest with my thoughts and recommendations.
Hmm. Absolutely. Definitely. Excellent. Well, I think this is a good time for a break. I mean, there's a lot more we could discuss around this. I just, you know,
Mhm.
um, you know, I don't know. I mean, there's this piece of me, and maybe I'm not as ethical as I thought I was, but if I've got a team that's super powered and doing some great stuff and hitting goals and making things happen and changing lives, I'm thinking to myself, okay, ethical. Maybe there's some things that are not as ethical as they should be. Boy, but isn't the community really thriving as a result of it? I mean, people are experiencing outcomes that they've never achieved before. And I'm thinking to myself, okay. And I'm not admitting this is not confession time, so I'm not confessing anything. I'm just saying if I got a recipe that's working for the community in terms of my programs and services, and everything is not always on the up and up, I'm
Mhm.
thinking to myself, okay, yeah, we have folks who are really realizing some powerful outcomes. That's
Mhm.
all I'm saying. I'm not
Well,
endorsing anything.
mhm,
Or are you
mhm,
going to live with yourself? Could you really live with yourself when
mhm,
you're not on the up and up? Because
mhm,
you have to
Mhm.
deal with that
mhm,
internally.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. But I see
mhm,
those families thriving and surviving. I see folks doing things they've never thought they could do before.
mhm,
Maybe, yes, just
mhm.
maybe, yes, I could.
Well, and it takes me to Covey's work on Success at the Speed of Trust,
Mm,
where it shows just what you said at the top of that tree. It shows results and capabilities, competencies. The tree looks great. The leaves are wonderful because
mhm.
the outcomes are great.
Mm,
But what's at the bottom of the tree are roots,
okay.
right? So if the character, which includes integrity and intent, are not in alignment over a period of time, if the roots die because of lack of character, then the rest of the tree will come tumbling down at some point. It just may not be immediately, but
Okay.
over a period of time, it messes with the foundation of one's success if it's not built on good character, which includes that integrity and positive intent.
All right. Oh, you Dr. Shell, you done did
Ditto.
some. Wow. Okay. Okay. I've got nothing else to say about that, but we're going to have to take a break on that one. Wow. I definitely agree with you on that. I'm just trying to play a little game here every once in a while. But, I think there are some
Oh, you're
leaders who
doing your
We
do.
know
advocacy
you.
role, as
Oh,
we
this is
know.
doing okay.
We
Okay.
know.
All right. All right. So don't send me any nasty letters, folks, please. But we're going to take a short break. And when we return, we're going to kind of wrap up with some rapid fire questions and kind of bring a conclusion to this. Again, there's much more to talk about. I mean, this could be, a 10-hour show around ethics and integrity. But when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more and wrap it up, do a rapid fire. Again, express an exciting and share with you an exciting opportunity for you to participate with us
Mhm.
and dealing with conflict as well. We're going to share much more around that too as well. So please stay tuned. We'll be right back with more on Leadership Matters with the People's Doctors, informing leaders, inspiring solutions. And we are back with more on Leadership Matters, really into a hot topic today, ethics and integrity for leaders. For those who are just joining us, I'm your co-host, Dr. Dre, along with my other co-host, Dr. Sheryl and Dr. Loretta. Again, we've been having a very powerful discussion around ethics and leadership and this integrity piece as well. We're going to get into our rapid fire question, but I think it's good to maybe also distinguish a little bit, maybe Dr. Sheryl, between really what's ethical, what's not ethical versus just something you just did that was stupid and not really thinking about when it comes to actions and behaviors. Is there a distinction between that at all?
Yeah, I think sometimes we will um, hear employees frustrated
Mm,
with upper management and or maybe middle, wherever, but someone who's doing something that's not the best decision in their way of thinking, may not be sound judgment yet, may not necessarily be unethical. So I think that we have to help maybe make that distinction sometimes that um, there still should be alignment and you still want to support
Hmm.
leadership if they are just not making the best decisions because everyone wants to, but it's not that it's unethical, it's just simply not what you would do. That's not what I would do if I was in that situation. So
Hmm.
there is a difference between, I can't think of another word than stupid. So stupid
Sure.
decisions versus
Yeah, yeah, make
versus
mistakes.
unethical decisions are decisions
Right.
we just don't understand because sometimes based on where you're sitting within an organization, you may not see all the things
Right.
that someone else sees. And so you make a decision, and at a lower level within the organization, we might even think it's unethical. We just
Mm.
don't get it. We don't understand it.
Right.
But I'm going to be able to sleep at night if I know I've done my part correctly.
Right. Right.
I have, if I've moved with honesty in my heart and honesty with the best interest with regards to ensuring that there was um, positive intent and integrity in what I said and did and recommended, and I did what I had control over, and I influenced how I felt I could, then I'm going to be able to sleep at night.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Mhm,
Great. All right, great. Thank you. Thank you for that.
mhm,
Okay.
Dr. Rell, let's get to some of these rapid fire questions.
All
mhm.
right. I'll start the rapid fire out with, I'm going to go to Dr. Cheryl first. I'm going to ask
Okay.
her all of my rapid fire
Oh,
questions.
wow.
Then I'll go to you, Dr. Dre.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, oh,
Ready?
wow.
Here we go. All right. Dr. Cheryl, finish this sentence. A leader without integrity is
Toxic.
Mm.
like that. Okay. What's one ethical, non-negotiable you hold onto no matter what?
Value of life.
Okay. What's the best advice you've ever received about doing the right thing?
To do the right thing, even if it's not the popular thing to do. It's to simply better to stand alone than to stand with others.
Mm.
Okay, great. I
Mhm,
like that too.
mhm.
What would you want the next generation of leaders to understand about ethic that it took you years to learn?
I would like the next generation. Having taught ethics for a zillion years,
Mm.
it totally baffles me when we have real ethical issues like with COVID, and this is rapid, but I gotta say, I want them to understand the value of life principle. I want them to understand the principle of goodness. I want them to understand the principle of fairness. I want them to understand the principle of truth telling, and I want them to understand the principle of individual freedom, which is you can do whatever you want as long as you don't violate those other four principles, because we have leaders today that are really impacting the world, and it
Mm-hmm.
appears as if they're not using the basic ethical framework that I think every undergraduate, graduate student, high school student, anyone who's making decisions need to, like, we should value life, we should promote good, prevent harm, be fair, tell the truth so that what we say matters, and yes, have individual freedom as long as you're not violating those other four principles. I think that's missing at too many levels of our leadership. And the opposite of ethical leadership is toxic leadership. And I
Mm.
hope the next generation does a better job of ensuring that we have healthy environments, healthy cultures, because they're leading in an ethical way versus the toxic, the toxic stuff that we're seeing at all levels within government and communities because of there being more toxic leadership than ethical leadership.
Definitely.
Wow, agreed. That was great. Okay,
Mhm.
that's a hard act to follow, Dr. Dre, but here
Yeah.
we go.
Well, I'm just
Finish
going to say
this.
ditto to everything Dr. Cheryl said, but okay, but go ahead. Okay.
I
Finish
just feel a
this
little somewhere
sentence.
about this.
Okay.
No.
Okay. A leader without integrity is?
Just a person with a title.
Ah, okay.
Mhm.
What's one ethical, non-negotiable you hold no matter what?
I think never sacrifice the dignity of a person, for the convenience of a process.
What's the best advice you've ever received about doing the right thing?
You'll sleep better at night than they will.
Okay. What would you want the next generation of leaders to understand about ethics that took you years to learn?
It comes in small steps. It comes with mistakes, but it's built in small moments. Nobody starts out making the big compromise. It's a series of small ones, and I think just keeping that in mind will take you far.
Okay. And I forgot to ask this of Dr. Cheryl. I have to ask her too. But Dr. Dre, if your team could only use one word to describe the way you lead, what do you hope that word would be?
Consistent, consistent. I'm consistent.
Consistent.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Dr. Cheryl? If your team had to use just one word to describe the way you lead, what do you hope that word would be?
I'm struggling between compassionate and credible.
Oh, like them both.
Hmm
Okay. Okay. Very
What about
good.
you, Dr. Britta? What's your one word?
hmm
Ooh, a leader without integrity is, I like what Dr. Cheryl said, toxic. Just they're toxic. They
Okay.
are. The one ethical, non-negotiable for me is to be transparent with people. Yep. Best advice about doing the right thing is if I feel that I'm hesitating about doing something, then maybe I need to rethink it. If the goosebumps come, I got to rethink that. The next generation, I love everything Dr. Cheryl said, but ethics is not, you can't build that into a policy. It's a habit. You have to do it.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you can teach them ethics. I think you can show
Absolutely,
people
you can
how they
teach
need to
ethics.
behave,
Hmm
but just you
hmm
can't just put it in the policy and say we have to be ethical. That
hmm
doesn't mean they're going to do
Right.
it.
Right.
You have
hmm
to truly live it like we were talking about earlier and
Yeah.
showing them. And if my team could describe me, I hope they would say that I was fair.
Mm,
hmm
great. Excellent. Excellent. Wow. Our time is almost at an end. I mean, there's so much to be said, and we're certainly going to talk about this a few more times for the rest of this month. But ethics, integrity is powerful. But before we end, I just want to thank my colleagues, Dr. Cheryl, Dr. Loretta, for being open and honest and transparent. And I think both of you will be ethical in terms of your responses, and I appreciate that so very much. And I want to also, again, just share with you one more time, Dr. Cheryl, if we can pop that screen up, that slide up. We've got a wonderful offering coming up June 26th. Love for you to join us and be part of the conversation. Dr. Cheryl, Dr. Loretta, a lot of great knowledge, and they're going to drop it when it comes to the 26th of June. And we want you to be part of that. You've got the registration tag down there where you can sign up. The time is 11:30 Central, 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific. I'd love for you to come and join us around strategies for dealing with conflict. And again, between the three of us, we think we've got a little something to say, but we really want to hear you as well as your colleagues. And so lots of small group discussions, report outs, some content, but just coming together and really building a sense of community is also what this is all about too, as well. So we'd love to have you join us as well. So, all right, we have to end it here, but any one last word, Dr. Cheryl, Dr. Loretta, you want to say before we end it here?
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. All
Mhm.
right. All right, so we're going to wrap it up. I mean, I think, as we talk about, this show, we want people to send their questions in at Leadership Matters Questions at innovisions.org. That's Leadership Matters Questions at innovisions.org. So keep sending those wonderful questions in. I mean, powerful questions. I think we not only listen, but we learn ourselves, and that's powerful. And I know the rest of our listening audience also learns as well as we have those questions. So keep sending those questions in. Drop us a line. How are we doing, folks? Love to hear your feedback and be honest in it and open. Dr. Cheryl, Dr. Loretta can take your feedback. So if it's good or bad, they can take it. So we want you to drop us a line in terms of how you think we're doing as well. But we want to just thank you for being with us today on such a powerful topic. And again, continue to send those questions in. You can join us every Wednesday on YouTube at 2 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Central, or 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And also, you can download us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify. I think all of those vehicles are powerful. Share the word, spread the word, let other folks know, hey, there's something powerful that comes on Wednesdays, every Wednesday, and you need to be part of it as well. And so until next time, and Leadership Matters with the People's Doctors, we'll see you next time. Make your leadership matter.